Hello everyone and welcome you tonight to ESH News, and tonight we are proud to present our international debate, and with us we got two guys that will debate, and I guess we'll try to find out who is what the shape of the world is, who's right, who's wrong, heliocentric model, flat earth model, and we will just here waiting to hear what is truth, what is not. And I guess without further ado, I will just represent the two opponents for tonight. We will start with Adam Meakin.
Yeah. Good evening, yeah.
Yeah.
Good evening too.
Yes. Hello, Michael. Hello, Adam.
Hello.
Welcome to ESH News. And Adam, I'm well familiar with him from a few months ago. We met down in a convention in Amsterdam, and for this debate, I'm happy that he's joining us, and hoping that you will do well. Of course, tonight I'm trying to be as neutral as possible, and hoping we'll have a successful debate. And how are you feeling tonight, Adam?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, it was. We were right. We met in the foyer of the public library in Amsterdam, didn't we? Quite a while back last year, around September time. So, yeah, it was a pleasure, mate. I remember you interviewing me with all your posh bits of kit. So, yeah. But regards to tonight, yeah, as you said, looking forward to a nice, polite discussion.
Feeling ready?
Ah, more than ready.
Ah, right. Good. Okay, and with that being said, I will put in the tune for the next guy that will enter over here, Mr. Michael Toon, or MC Toon. How are you, Michael, tonight?
I'm good. It's a good day here in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. Good. And we're playing for you We Are the World, hoping it will be suiting for your, presentation today, or your word of truth from your side. And I'm really hoping that we'll have a fair and honest debate, because we all are just here for the plain reason of discovering the truth, knowing what's right, what's wrong, and we're not about egos over here. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So with that being said, the debate will take place in the following way. First off, you'll have 3 minutes to present yourself. A little bit about your history, a little bit about your involvement with either flat earth theory, globe lie, or either with a heliocentric model. And I want to hear what you are intending to present over here in this debate, which kind of like a view. A little bit about yourself, and I think that we will start with Michael on this one. I will set the time. And Michael, whenever you're ready, you can start over. Yeah.
Sure. Well, thanks a lot, Nir and Adam. I'm looking forward to a good, entertaining debate today. I am a software engineer, and I live in Minneapolis. And I have a YouTube channel, MC Toon, MCTOON. And if you want, you can look at my website, mctoon.net. I have heard about the idea of flat Earth for quite a while, but only maybe 3 years ago got more interested in it. I started out for quite a while on forums, just interacting with people on different forums, and found my way to YouTube. And Flat Out Hero issued a $100,000 challenge to do some flight charts on maps, which I did twice. And that's how I started my channel. It's been just fun since then. I do a debate every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central, or I try to, depending on other people's schedules. And that's about all I got for myself.
Mm-hmm. All right. I saw that you got a YouTube channel that you have lots of debating, and I saw. And what are you intending to present us tonight with your questions and answers, pretty much?
Oh, well, yeah. It seems to me that the Earth is a big sphere, and that's the main topic of my channel. I tend to avoid other things on my channel as it gets divisive, and I don't know, it can lead to less fun. And I like to enjoy what I do there, and so that's what I intended to show what I know about the shape of the Earth.
All right, good. Good luck for you. And I guess with 1 minute left, we will switch over to Mr. Adam Meakin over here. And in your time, you can start over, present yourself, and what you're going to do tonight.
Okay. Yeah. Good evening. So yeah, my name is Adam Meakin. I'm over in the UK in Nottingham. I'm old man, 46. I'm obviously I'm a husband, a father. Professionally, I'm a pharmacist, and I work also a little bit in terms of in academia as well. I train and validate the postgraduate people for registration. So it's called a pre-registration tutor. So I'm involved in that, and I do a little bit of work with the university as well with regards to the development of their undergraduate pharmacy program, international, particularly in Malaysia and China. So that's kind of me professionally. In terms of why I'm in this arena, I kind of many years ago was in trying to helping people into a bit of common law stuff, supporting people, and some of the people down there had this crazy idea that the Earth was flat, and knowing that I'm a bit of a geek kind of set me off with this challenge, and I think that's probably a similar tale to many a flat earther. We start out trying to debunk it. So with my bit of maths, bit of science knowledge and the likes, I headed off to try and do so. And in that process, mainly via Twitter, initially met up with the guys at Iron Realm about 5 years ago, and we formed I kind of joined shortly after the channel was formed. Met up with the guys there. I've been pimping around YouTube, YouTube's flat earth scene kind of ever since. That's kind of me. We have a show, Iron Realm Media, every Friday evening, 10 o'clock UK time, called Have No Sphere, and some of the guys also.
Half a minute, Adam.
Yeah, okay. I have a podcast on radio show on True Frequency Radio, and that's called The Ironworks, and that's with Iron Realm members Josh, Zach, and Walt. So that's kind of us in terms of the flat earth scene, and I'm here to hopefully have a good chat with a baller and chew over some of the topics that are of interest to both of us.
Okay. We are just hearing now the siren. Okay, I don't know if you guys hearing it, but this is like the siren that will probably the audience will hear out every time that you reach out the 0 point of the time over here. And of course I will give you a notice with every question. Whenever you, let's say a minute before the end of the question, I will notify you it's another minute. Regarding the questions, first of all, about behavior rules during this debate, it's very important, of course, to be civilized with each other, to be kind to one another. And besides that, when I'm asking the question to each one, of course, don't interrupt to each other's questions, to each other's answers, and let them finish the answer. At the end, we'll have a special time that we can react on each other's answers. So I believe that you will have enough time for that. But when I'm asking the questions, please try not to interrupt between to one another. If there will be interruptions, there will be penalties, I guess, that I will do over here. I'll think of a good ones. So and the questions themselves are going to be divided in the following way. First two questions are my questions, which are kind of like similar, actually pretty much of identical questions for the two opponents, and It's going to be about subjects that I told the participants, the opponents already before the podcast. And the third question will be a different question to each opponent regarding his type of belief or knowledge, with me trying pretty much to disprove the model that they hold. And the fourth and the fifth question were going to be the questions of the opponents for one another. Adam will have 2 questions for Michael, and Michael will have 2 questions for Adam. And as I told you at the end, they will have time to reply and to question each other's answers following the debate. So you can write notes throughout the debate and following them back afterwards when we finish. Seems fair, guys?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds good. Adam? Yeah, good.
Yeah, more than happy, mate.
All right, good. So without further ado, we will start with the question, and wishing you all a happy debate and good luck again. Okay, so first question. As I told you, it's a similar question, and we will begin with Michael. The topic is creation. Michael, please describe the manner in which, in your opinion, the process of creation of the universe has occurred. Please state years, distances, and velocities of celestial bodies in space, as well as any scientific experiments or observations that have been made to substantiate your claim. Thank you.
Yes. So the one thing that's pretty common is people look to the Bible, and I have no problem with that. But there are, when you look at that, there kind of tends to be 2 different groupings that people fall into for how they interpret the Bible. Several take a literal and descriptive 7-day period, and another group says it's poetic and it's not specific. Since it's an opinion and an interpretation, nobody gets to really claim that theirs is the only true one, especially when we're talking about science. So I look to outside of that, and if there's something that confirms one or the other, then that tends to lead me toward which one or the other might be a better interpretation. So, and the other thing is, this isn't my particular area of expertise, so my opinions on this are weakly held. I don't have, if somebody comes with some other information, I'm fine to look at it and happy to accept new information, especially because I don't have a real depth in the ancient history of the universe. But the stuff I do know, that the Big Bang Theory does predict things like light traveling to us with a redshift, which has been experimentally observed, and also, more importantly, the cosmic microwave background radiation was predicted by the Big Bang Theory and has been observed. Now, are there other things that could cause that? There certainly could, but I'm fine with so far that kind of stuff. But like I said, if there's new information, I'm happy to take a look at it. So as far as years,
1 minute.
It says that the current best hypothesis is 14 billion years. I don't know. I'm happy with that or anything else. If you want to go with a short term, 7,000 years or something, I don't find any difference between that and last Thursdayism, which says the universe started existing last Thursday and everything that's our memories was just put in place. So either's fine by me, and that's all I have for that.
All right. Thank you, Michael.
Yep.
Okay, and we'll move on with the same question to Adam. I'll read it again. Just a second. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Adam, describe the manner in which, in your opinion, the process of creation of the universe has occurred. Please state years, distances, and velocities, as well as any scientific experiments or observation that you have been made to substantiate your claim. I find it hard with this word, substantiate. Anyway, Michael, Adam, you can start. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think I probably agree with Toon. I mean, a lot of us draw for interpretation and understanding on religious text. For me, like Toon, it's not something that I use as any form of divination in my understanding of this, of creation. So I'll probably briefly just mention two topics that, for me, suggest creation. They're both scientific, fundamentally quantum mechanics and genetics. So I kind of draw on these as why I think we live in a creation. I'm not going to talk about stars and interpretation of data which is not of causality, but just to have a little look at modern science and how it interprets it. So, and I'll try and, obviously with time limits, I'll keep it brief. So in terms of quantum mechanics, for me, quantum mechanics starts to demonstrate with our greater understanding that we don't live in this simple atomistic world that was fundamentally portrayed to us from a Big Bang theory. And I suppose at the most base level, the way I'd describe how I would use quantum mechanics for that is to state that, you know, the knowledge of the information with regards to which path mechanism, with regards to the quantum eraser experiments, actually collapses the wave function. Something that fascinates modern science, but something that actually says that knowledge, information, is key to the structure and how reality manifests itself. And I'll leave that one there because quantum mechanics is a bag of worms. The second thing I'd use
1 minute.
is DNA. And like I said, a lot of evolutionists will try and use DNA as something. And a quick example is for me, DNA isn't about the proteins. It's not a consequence of a structure of proteins, is how evolutionary put it. It's what's contained, what's the hidden language within those proteins. So, for example, we could write a message on a computer or with pen and paper, and the message would be the same because it's the knowledge behind it, the underwritten, embedded code that is the greatest exemplifier that can't come from random acts of agglomeration of particles.
6.
It has to have an underwritten creator.
That's it. That's it. Thank you, Adam.
Pleasure.
All right, thank you. All right, so we'll be going on for the next question, second question, and the topic for this one will be the sun. Adam, you will start answering this question. Just a second, I will take off this one. Yeah. Adam, can you explain what the size of the sun is, in your opinion? What is the composition of the materials from which it consists? What is its distance from Earth, whether it is moving, and what is the speed? Adam, you can start.
Yep. No worries. I think, first of all, size, speeds, etc., what we have to realise is that all we have is angular sizes and angular speeds. All of the... And that leads basically to give us a proportionality from observation, which is how things work now. Fundamentally, the way in which we pin some numbers to this is assumption based, and that's based on the transit of Venus, where the assumption was that Venus is the same size of Earth, and therefore all the calculations are worked from that. And guess what? Modern science proves that, well, that random guess that Venus was the same size as Earth turned out to be true. So how lucky did he guess correctly? So I think I'd leave that there in terms of all of those. We can certainly define proportionality with regards to the observational data that we have, but anything else, nobody's took a tape measure out there. In terms of composition, I think what's important again is to look at modern science and how it would define it, because that's the best we've got. And in that, it's important to differentiate between real spectroscopy and the standards that it upholds, and celestial spectroscopy and what we're doing here to define the composition of these, in the case of the sun, 93 million miles away apparently. So what they use is what's called an emission spectra. Now, most fundamentally, there is a number of contradictions with modern science. Most fundamentally is a gas can only emit a partial spectra. Sunlight is emitted and gives a full spectra. A gas, outside of being a ball of gas in space, which is a misnomer. How does it hold itself together? But say fundamentally, the sunlight we receive is a full emission spectra. Gases only emit partial spectra. Now, the assumption in which the way the composition of the sun is made up is based on, like I said, celestial spectroscopy, and there's a gap basically in the full spectra, and that corresponds to hydrogen and helium. The assumption is that this gap is caused by a slow-moving set of the compository gases which encompass the sun, and it's those that interfere, which are those primarily hydrogen and helium. Now, reality is, and even in modern science will admit, that hydrogen and helium could be anywhere between the observer and the sun. What I would say, modern science does confirm that the top layer of the atmosphere consists mainly of hydrogen and helium, and we do not exclude this zone in our analysis. Okay, I'm finished.
All right, good. Just before the siren. Yeah, good. I just like hearing the siren. It's amazing. You will see it afterwards. Anyway, good. So we'll get to the second question for Michael. Do you want me to repeat the question, Michael?
No, it's the same question. That's good. I can go right into it.
Yes, you can start.
Okay, so I have a few different studies that I put on my website at mctoon.net/sun, S-U-N. And I'd like to first refer to one called Radar Echoes from the Sun, where they took a large antenna, and they actually sent, this is in 1959, they transmitted radar in a particular pattern of long and short pulses for 900 seconds, I think, just under the 1,000 seconds, I believe. That is the distance predicted by 93 million miles, the amount of time it would take. And they received back radar bounces. And so this confirms two things. First, that it is a physical object, and second, that it is approximately the distance that they were looking at that has otherwise been measured. Right, so that's one. It's a physical object. Second, and like you said, Adam, that they've used both the transit of Venus and Mercury, as well as the angles from the Sun and the angles from Mars to get its distance. So all these different methods to measure the distance are in good alignment with each other. They match well, and all of the more recent measurements refine that number and shrink the margin of error. So there is a study on my website there called the Astronomical Unit Determined by Radar Reflections from Venus. Now that doesn't necessarily require Venus to be the same size. It's about the distances. So, and then for the composition, yep, there are, when you're looking at spectroscopy or Fraunhofer lines, you do see primarily it's hydrogen and helium. They do also have measured carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, potassium, magnesium, aluminum, silicon, and others, several others, by using these lines. Now those lines for these elements, we do not have, for example, a large amount of magnesium or tin or vanadium in our upper atmosphere. So there is an unknown thing that would cause between here and there these different Fraunhofer lines to be absorbed when you're looking at just our atmosphere and what's in between us and the sun. And there you go.
All right, thank you very much. We have 30 seconds left. Thank you very much, Michael. And with that being said, we will get on to the next part of this debate. And it will be a different question to each opponent. And We will start with you, Michael, on this one. All right?
Okay.
It's kind of a little bit of a long question, but yeah. The topic for both of you guys for the third question is visual proofs. Michael, early last month, December 5th, the SpaceX spacecraft CRS-19 mission takeoff was aired live. When the spacecraft reached the altitude of 162 kilometers, a rat was observed walking on the engine while the spacecraft was traveling at 10,879 kilometers per hour. These kinds of visuals, which, in my opinion, are at the very least unreasonable, are commonly revealed to us by footage from space, and strongly suggest that the moon landing footage from 1969 was filmed in a television studio. Can you scientifically explain these images, and what is your opinion of them?
Yeah. So that rat was not a rat. So if you look, there's it looks like it's like that plastic silver blanket that you'd wear, you give to like victims of disasters to keep warm. They have that coating over the body of the mechanism of the rocket engine, and on one side you can see that it's intact, and on the other side you can see it's torn. So that looks like it's a shredded piece of that just got caught up in the cowl around the rocket engine, and it's moving around there. Now, if it were a rat, it would have been blown off or something, and the movement of it is slight because there isn't very much air, so it doesn't move a whole lot. It eventually falls off, but it's pretty clear what that is, and I think seeing that it's a rat is just seeing what you want to see, or what we say, pareidolia.
Right. Yeah, and regarding the moon landing footage, have you seen anything which is commonly been claimed by flat earthers as fake footage, as fake images? Can you elaborate on that one?
Yeah, I've seen quite a few. Like, for example, one where either Buzz or Neil is coming down the ladder, and you see the Earth in the background. That picture has actually been fabricated by somebody, maybe trying to cast doubt on the moon landings, because that actual picture of the Earth is from Apollo 8, what they call the Earthrise picture. It's not from Apollo 11, and when you look at there's no image of that on NASA's website. The only image we have is from third parties, and when you look at it, you can see the JPEG artifacts around the moon. Plus, being that it's from Apollo 8, it's a pretty obvious fake. Mm-hmm. Others I've seen.
Half a minute left, yeah.
Yeah. Oh well. The flag. The flag waving is a pretty common one. And if it were in air, it wouldn't wave, because if it were in it would stop waving because of air, not continue waving. So the fact that it actually continues waving tells us that it's in a very low pressure area.
All right.
So,
thank you very much. I will have to be honest. I asked in my previous debate. I asked the same question, Nuriel. He pretty much answered the same things. Kind of like it was a little bit more expanded, but yeah, he pretty much answered the same things. All right, Adam. For your question, the sun setting over the horizon is to many visual proof of planet Earth's rotation. Can the sunset be explained using the flat Earth model as well? You can start.
I'm aware how the movement of lights in the sky is suppositionally used to validate things. And this is, of course, in most cases, it's backwards because the lights in the sky were moving before the invention of the ball. So I think fundamentally any matching patterns, you're not going to build a model when you've already got the observations and not have the model match the observations. So I think fundamentally statements that say, oh, well, it matches, don't actually prove anything. They're just a correlation. But what they do is pin the ball model to certain things which have to be adhered to, which is useful, in other analysis. These predefined things that if we're going to attribute this rotation to this movement that we see in the sky to the rotation of us underneath, then that has consequences. So I've no problem with it, but I mean fundamentally there's nothing scientific about it, is what I would kind of say. So in terms of flat Earth and the term model, then no, we don't have a flat Earth model. We're just embarking on this journey, and to try and pin a model with the research and funding we have is a silly thing. What we do have is an understanding of perspective, and we're developing understandings of how the atmosphere works and effects in the atmosphere. But for me, is it something like the ballers use, a fundamental underpinning of the concept? No. It's just they are at the moment, certainly from a scientific point of view, just lights in the sky. And
40 minutes. Yeah, 40 seconds. Sorry.
I was going to say I can't go that long. And so for me, any inference that you would try to draw to them with regards to, in a ball position, the shape of the Earth, or from a globe, a flat Earther's position, the nature of what the Earth is, then I think it's foolhardy, because at best you're only ever going to get something that matches your model. You're never going to get anything scientific that you could state it as.
All right, thank you, Adam. All right, and that concludes our third stage of this debate. And as I mentioned earlier, the fourth and the fifth questions are going to be presented by you guys to one another. We will begin with Michael's questions to Adam. Okay, so whenever you feel you're ready, Michael, you can ask your first question to Adam.
Okay, so there's some numbers. The specifics of the numbers aren't critically important, but if you want to look at them, they're on my website at mctoon.net/ESH News. That's ESHNEWS, no space or dash or anything. So here goes. Gravimeters are precise accelerometers with 9 to 12 digits of precision. They use a sealed, evacuated, temperature-controlled chamber to house the measurement device. They can be rented by anyone wishing to test for themselves. So the measured downward acceleration in Fairbanks, Alaska is 9.821981599 meters per second squared. And in Kauai, Hawaii, it's 9.787881888 meters per second squared. The law of gravitational attraction, which is F equals G times M1, M2 all over R squared, and Earth's centrifugal acceleration accurately predicts these values to less than 0.25% error. This is independent of the gravity of the density of the object. So what non-mass to mass attraction explanation has been confirmed experimentally or empirically to supplant the law of gravitational attraction with the same predictive accuracy?
All right. Adam, have you understood the question?
Yeah,
you're good. Okay, so you can start.
So the first question is which gravity, Newtonian or Einsteinian?
I'm just speaking about this measured downward acceleration.
Yeah. So you're implying this acceleration is it affected by a mysterious force which is created by mass attracting mass, as in a Newtonian sense, or is it created by the bending of space-time and is not a force?
Okay, so I'm sorry. My question is, at the end, is what has been confirmed experimentally or empirically to supplant the law of gravitation with the same predictive accuracy? So it's not about the law of gravitational attraction. It is, what is your explanation for this downward acceleration?
Well, yeah, primarily. So my first point is we're analysing the device. You're saying gravimeter. So that implies, first of all, that it's analysing gravity. But unfortunately, I think even in your introduction to it, you actually correctly define what it is, and that's an acceleration measuring device. And what happens is we then pre-assume and apply this gravity term to it. It's not measuring gravity, is it? It's measuring acceleration.
Right. This is your final answer, Adam?
Well, yeah, a gravimeter is not a gravimeter.
Mm-hmm.
In its own definition, like I said, it measures acceleration fields, which I think in Wiki they say something like it's which can sometimes be referred to as gravity fields. Well, it's not. So we're being scientific here. So let's discuss what we're measuring, and let's not exceed the boundaries of what we can apply the meaning to. And certainly, if we're going to apply it to something, this is where my first point was, are we applying it to us being able to measure the bending of a conceptual medium, i.e. space-time, or are we applying it as that we're measuring a mystical force where mass attracts mass? And I think if you're going to evaluate a device, understanding what it's measuring is crucial.
Yeah, so the measurement is a downward acceleration. And if you are not accepting mass attracting mass, my question then is, what is it that is the cause, in your opinion, and that has been empirically and experimentally verified, of this downward acceleration? So it's not about gravity, it's about not gravity. What is your not gravity explanation for this?
I don't need a just so story, do I, to point out that your just so story, that the reason there's a variance in acceleration has nothing to do with you renaming the device a gravity meter. That doesn't mean you're measuring gravity. It doesn't mean you can apply it.
I'm not assuming that. I'm asking for your explanation for it.
Well, I said I don't provide an alternative just so story. That would be non-scientific. What we can do is scientifically analyze
a hypothesis.
All right. I think, Michael, that Adam's answer was pretty much clear for what he thinks. I think that we can move on to the next question.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Michael, you can present your second question.
Oh, all right.
Okay. Is Michael going again?
Yeah, it's going again, and then you're going to present your two questions.
Okay.
All right.
No worries.
Okay. So, and I'll put this also on my website here. So on the same site, if you want to read it along or refer to it, when measured using a proper solar filter, the sun's angular size varies from 3.5 arc minutes to 31.5 arc minutes to 32.5 arc minutes everywhere on Earth over the course of a year. This matches the measured distance to the sun, as I previously referenced, and the ellipticity of the Earth's orbit. If the sun is not this measured distance in size, how is its narrowly ranging angular size explained?
All right, Adam, you can start.
Yeah, I think I'd probably concisely refer you to what I said earlier. Only a fool would try and purport a model that didn't match observation. So, of course, it matches. The observations were first, the model second. To try and claim that the that your numbers match when you built your numbers from the observations, and that your numbers match the observations, is false, isn't it?
So I'm sorry,
it's just
you're
stating.
still.
It's a
sorry,
statement
Michael,
of the obvious.
don't interrupt. Yeah.
It's a statement of the obvious. Of course, it matches. I would not expect the Bohr model to not match. Why would that be a validation? Where would the initial numbers have come from? From observation, and then, yeah, that's why we have to have a bit of tilt. We have to have a bit of this to explain how in the model, their model, it has to be to match the observations. So I don't see any validity within stating that the numbers match.
All right. That's the end of the answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Good. Thank you very much, Adam. And we got plenty of time left, but I guess we will use it to switch sides. And Adam, you can start presenting your question to Adam, to Michael, and yeah, go for it. First one.
Cool. Yes, I mean, it wasn't really. It was a more general question because I knew I'd be coming to talk to somebody from the ball side, so it wasn't so much to have the first one, a challenge. It was more to understand a concept that's kind of going off in debates and that, which seems to be a position that's fallen back to. And so the question is why do a lot of, and I won't lump everybody in because not everybody has the same opinion, but why do a lot of ball earth proponents say that science doesn't prove anything? It's as simple as that, the question. And I think because I would include yourself in that, you've made that statement, so that's kind of why I wanted to ask that question. So it's not much of a challenge, it's really an asking of an explanation for a theology.
When did Michael presented this statement, Michael? Adam?
And the quote I've got is on Jose J.G. Gonzalez's show, whilst debating Anthony Riley. Toon says, "I'm sorry, that's a little bit of word games. I will not accept science proves things, because scientists will stand up all day long and say, no, I'm sorry, we don't prove things."
All right, Michael, you can reply and in your own time.
Yes. So I say that science doesn't prove things because that is what scientists say. It is something that you can't do in the physical realm. You can prove things mathematically, for example. There are math proofs, but there are not scientific proofs. The way the scientific process works is you test things. You produce a hypothesis, and the hypothesis doesn't prove anything. It typically fails to disprove something, and by doing that, it gives supporting evidence to what it is that you're looking to explore, right? So when you have a large number of tests that you've done and experiments that you've done that have produced supporting evidence in something, then you start to gain confidence in the accuracy of it. And at that point, then it's called a scientific theory. A theory is not a hunch. It's not a guess. A theory is a concise description of many things that together work and have a predictive model. You can use it to make predictions. So, and that's kind of opposite the common parlance word for theory, where people often use it in place of hypothesis, where they mean a guess or a hunch or something. So nowhere in the scientific literature or philosophy of science do you find people saying that science proves things. And I'd refer to a very nice website written by the University of Berkeley. If you just search for Berkeley, what is science, or Berkeley understanding science, you'll find it. And they specifically go and talk about whether or not science proves things. And they say, no, we don't prove things. We can sort of disprove things.
1 minute.
But even that, even that isn't its science strength. It finds evidences for things, and when you have lots of evidence, then you have a high level of confidence.
All right, thank you for your answer, Michael. And we will go forward to the next question of Adam, which will actually be the final question of this debate. Go ahead, Adam.
Right, excuse me. Yeah, nice simple one, Toon, to finish one. A flat earther's favourite, I suppose, for you. So, how do you have gas pressure without a container?
Oh, that's easy. Gravity. So the second law of thermodynamics is not does not state anywhere that there is a container. In fact, it talks about the distribution of energy, and we know through E equals mc squared that energy and mass are interchangeable. So it's a distribution of mass and energy. So what will happen is it seeks its lowest entropy form. So if there's a force pulling things together, it will coalesce into a sphere. If there is no force involved, then things will distribute evenly throughout the area. So if the Earth did not have a downward acceleration, then we would expect to see according to the second law of thermodynamics, a uniform distribution of air pressure throughout the atmosphere. But we don't. We see a decreasing pressure with elevation. You can see that driving up a hill. You can have and feeling your ears pop. You can put a balloon on top of a bottle doing that, or you can watch the most recent video from Dwayne Kellum, who had a barometer on his 120,000 foot balloon. Now he is, to my understanding, a flat earther. So the Dwayne Kellum I See Stars number 24 would be his video that has the barometer. So we see a differential in the pressure, and the second law of thermodynamics states that if there is no force causing a differential, then we would expect to see an even distribution, but we don't. So the question is, what is the cause of this disequilibrium? And I say gravity. And nobody else has presented any other explanation that I've seen yet for that force causing the disequilibrium. I've seen people say it's a dynamic system, but never an explanation for that dynamic system, because when we have a differential of pressure that great, we see huge fast rushes of air switching places to equalize it out, and we don't see that in the atmosphere. It's very calm at the top of a mountain at times, and instead of having a great rushing of air coming up to meet it. So I think that the second law of thermodynamics definitely points to gravity.
All right, thank you very much, Michael, and thank you very much, both of you guys. It's been a lovely debate and good, serious questions, and happy to hold it. So for the final part of this debate, I will let you go back a little bit for your opponent's answers and see if you want to remark something about it. Adam, let's start with you. Have you got something that you want to reply to any of Michael's answers?
I think I'd probably stay away from the topics directly. So as a more summative thing, what I've kind of noticed is certainly from a validation point of view to take our standpoints, it's interesting that we have a lot of probability correlations that validate the ball earth, things that we as flat earthers took as read when we were on the other side, and on this journey we've investigated, and they turned out to be, like I say, a lot of it tends to be not the science that it was first painted to us as. But what I would say in terms of the gas pressure, gravimeters, a lot of the things we've discussed is, certainly from my point of view, the the validation from my standpoint is the opposition that science, that validated science has with some of the claims for the Pole Earth model. That's the underpinning thing for me, is my knowledge and trust in science, as it does prove things, for, as scientists do prove, and there are numerous citations, but I won't go too few. But what I will just say to you is, science has proved that water boils at 100 degrees at sea level at 1 atmosphere of pressure. Information is only caused by intelligent agents. Combustion as a result of oxidation reactions. Lack of vitamin C intake in humans results in scurvy. Knowledge with regards to quantum mechanics of the existence of the Witch path information collapses the wave function. The rapid motion of collision of molecules with the walls of a container causes gas pressure. It's the necessary antecedent. Magnetism is caused by the motion of electric charge. These are all things that science have proved. Thank you.
All right. Okay, Michael, maybe you want to refer to more specific questions or answers that Adam had throughout the debate?
Yeah, well, of course, the two questions I asked knowing that there is no flat Earth answer for it, and I do appreciate Adam's complete deflection on that, admitting that flat Earth has no answer for those things. Specifically, then, the list you just gave of things science has proven. The first one is the exception to the rule. Water boils at 100 degrees is actually the definition of 100 degrees, so it's not proven, it's the other way around. The rest of them are all theories that are well supported with facts. And scientists and the scientific process would say any one of those could potentially be upset with the introduction of new information. But because they are so well explored, it's very unlikely, and we have a high level of confidence in those things. The one thing you said, you don't have a model, and then you kind of hinted that it's not scientific. Of course, scientific and having a model are one and the same. You make an observation, and as part of that observation, you build a model. You may not specifically think about building a model, but that's what you're doing, because then you use that model to construct your hypothesis. So when you say the Earth is flat, you now have a model. It may not be well developed, but you have a model, and there's ramifications from that. So when you have a model, which you do, then what you want to do is find explanations for all observations and fit them into that same model, and so you can have hopefully one model that explains everything. We have that with the globe. We can predict the sunrise azimuth. We can predict the downward acceleration. We can predict the angular size of the sun and the moon. All these using the same model, and you have unfortunately nothing. And I understand that, because there is really not any evidence for flat Earth, so it's difficult. You're in a tough spot. So I appreciate that. That's all I have on that.
All right. I want to surprise you guys with another surprising question, if you will, to answer. Okay. It will be a question for one another, but I want you to think of a question which will not be from the scientific field, but from what I understood from both of you guys, you, Michael, you are well experienced with debating flat earthers, and Adam, you are well experienced with debating globies, whatever. Michael, I saw even in your YouTube channel you have an analysis of a flat earther that you made, something like that with another guy. I saw one of your movies. I want to ask you guys if you got kind of like a personal question to one another, something which is not related to science, about the character of the other person. Okay, if you're, it's kind of like it's not related to the actual debate. Okay, it's more like a personal question if you are interested to know for yourselves. So let's let's begin with Adam. Do you have any question for Michael on that one? Or just
I didn't.
You didn't?
Are you saying can I quickly try and think of one?
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Perhaps Michael will start. Do you have any prepared question that you always wanted to ask a flat earther?
I was glad you were asking him first. Well, you know, as you mentioned, I've had quite a few debates on my channel, and I've had some that are dumpster fires, and I've had mostly that have been pretty polite, and so I've appreciated that. And Adam, it's been a great conversation, so thank you. What questions? So I do see it's notable that you're a pharmacist. There's the impression that flat earthers tend to be uneducated, and I know that's not true, especially spending my time on the online forums. I don't know what was your education in becoming a pharmacist?
Well, obviously it's as you guys do it, college, university, etc. And then you obviously have a year's training, qualification, see if you're fit to practice, then more exams. So it's a bit like a doctor. It's the same in the States. The international programs are all pretty much the same. Most medical things are along those lines. So you do that, and then obviously I progressed 15 years ago or so. Involved with the big multinationals, Walmart and the likes you'd know, and involved a bit more in teaching at the university in them days. But now I've got my own shops, and I'm what's called a superintendent pharmacist. It's a posh title, Toon, but it basically means I'm legally responsible for other people's mistakes.
That's tough, yeah.
But it's the ethical, the management and the operation of the pharmacy. So I kind of sit there doing that sort of stuff, and like I said, work now more advising on the training of pharmacists and how we develop them. So it gives me a very good. Pharmacists are better than doctors. Yeah, we don't just do bodies. We do aerosols. We do compounding. All sorts of additional sciences is part of the program. So I'm kind of involved. Winding down, but yeah, kind of involved with that. So yeah, it does. Like I say, I think there's with either side a preconception to try and define somebody is daft, and I think all I'd say, I don't have any direct questions, but it's been a pleasure chatting to you in a civilized manner. Something I don't often do this to, because generally, I referred to Jose to it, this kind of civility is very little afforded else out there, in YouTube land. So it's been a pleasure tonight. I've enjoyed the chat, and I hope likewise for yourself, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So no question from Adam's side. Anyways, so I guess I will conclude this debate. First of all, thank you personally from myself, letting an Israeli guy, concluding the debate between British and an American. It's very weird position, and I'm glad.
I see the irony of an Israeli leading.
It is ironic, right? And I'm happy that I could be in this ironic place. And I thank you guys for helping me to do so. Michael, it's been a pleasure, and I will gladly try to host you with more debates as we goes on with ESH News over here. It's always like a nice content for our channel, and you're most welcome, of course. I don't know if you felt in your home court, let's say it like that, but I think that you, as long as the debate went on, you felt pretty much comfortable. Adam, of course, we will continue to be in contact, and and to debate, not to debate, to discuss. I guess this is what we do about our little crazy theories that we all most love. And besides that, I want to thank all our viewers over here, and also don't forget to subscribe to ESH News. We will highly appreciate that. And with that being said, thank you guys again for your debate. Thanks to our viewers. Have a good night, and we'll see you again on ESH News.